All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the workshop and part two in my series on how to read Egyptian hieroglyphs, and in particular focusing on the alphabetical characters, the 76 and potentially 77 character alphabet that I believe I've uncovered. So in the first episode, we got through most of the A to E, F, and G, but we did miss a couple of symbols, so I'll just go back over those and make sure that we covered those little bits. So the first one that we missed out on was the unity of life concept for all things living, the unity of all living things, and this was a tower or a structure of converging lines, multiple lines basically. I'll take you over here and show you a picture of this one. It's pretty easy, and you see it quite commonly. Uh, this is it here. Many lines coming together in like a tower or a building or monument type shape, but showing all the linkages, everything unified together and joined together. Okay, so that was that one. The symbol for the unity of humanity, I haven't finalised at this time. There's a couple of potential candidates for that, but I just want to look into that a little bit further before I finalise. It's basically a process of elimination at this point in time. Just get the ones right that you can lock in, and then everything else will fall into place from there. And for the unity of an individual, or individual unity, I believe it's a picture of two people who are joined holding hands. Um, I'm working with that concept at the moment, and this all is a working theory. So it would look something like this image at the top here, just in this section, where we've got two sort of stick figures here and their arms coming together and joining. This one includes the symbol for convergence, which is basically an upside down Y. So there's an additional meaning in there, but there are also just pictures of two people holding hands. So at this stage, I think that's the symbol for the unity of individual, the individual level concept. So it basically works with the idea that, a male and a female, or two males or two females come together and want to spend time with each other, and they join together and they form a unity, right? That's the bond in the relationship. So that's that one at the moment. And then we covered basically all of the beneficial symbols, and we did the action and the inorganic and organic actions. And we looked at the deprived energy and the deprived energy of life, which was the cow. We didn't cover the Saturns, right? The deprived energy of humanity and the deprived energy of an individual, which I think is a Saturn with some little legs on the underside of it. Again, one that I'm looking for further confirmation on, just to see that it repeatedly tests, and I'll lock that one in. But I'm quite certain that Saturn is the symbol for the deprived energy of humanity. And we'll go across here and we'll show you a couple of examples of that. See if I can zoom in a little further, just make it a bit easier. And let's see if we can find some. Here we go. They're a little rough in this picture here, but you can see this circular shape here with these protruding bars out the side. These are the rings of Saturn, and it's just over here again. It's a little egg shaped in this one, but they may have seen it a little egg shaped in the sky with the rings. Okay, so it could also just be the artist trying to fit it into that area. So it's represented again up the top. Let's see if I can find it for you. I believe it had the rings at the same angle, but with the switch in polarity, the north, left or right side being the higher or lower of the ring and the angles. Anyway, I'm just struggling to find it in here at this. Oh, there it is. There, big crack through the middle of it, just there. Saturn again with the lines coming out the side there, and this one, in in reverse in polarity to the other one. So there's a great lot of meaning behind the direction of the symbols and which way they face, north, south, east or west. There's another one just there. Okay, so deprived humanity. We covered the balance symbols, or we did the 3 short vertical rectangles. Now, the balance of life, I believe, is 2 birds together. And I believe the imbalance for life is 3 birds together. And although balance as a whole concept is represented by 3 lines, I think there is a difference here in the life concept. And the reason for that is that if you look out there, you'll see that, 2 birds, like people, they pair up and they unify and they stay together, don't they? The birds are generally mate for life in a lot of instances. So I think for the representation of balance in nature, all things alive, I think they saw that pairing as the example of the balance, and that 3 birds standing together, and they'll often be overlapping each other to represent that they are a collective and a single symbol, not 3 actual separate birds, which would have a different meaning. So 3 birds is an imbalance in under that theory, under that working theory. So that extra bird, maybe it's the baby bird. For a period of time it will be there, but once it grows up it'll move on and it will be back to just 2 birds again. So they believe that the balanced state for that concept is the 2 birds, imbalanced 3 birds. So the balance of humanity, this is represented as a scale or a balance beam arm, with or without chains, and it's represented a couple of different places. I'll come back across to this picture again and you'll see it just here in this section. We've got the balance arm here and the center post, which will be holding up the scale, and then the other chains on the other side. Okay, and it's just again down here in this section. You'll often see over here, let me show you, the scale arm without any chains underneath it, but the scale arm is there. It is there. Just in this section is the scale arm itself. So it's basically going to be overarching a concept or saying that there's an imbalance. Okay, and if you look at the other symbol here, this is an imbalance symbol. The 2 horizontal bar or rectangle shapes set at a 45-degree angle. There's another one there. It's also here in a horizontal position. I'm yet to figure out what the meaning is, but these are the same symbol, just laid out in a different pattern again over here. Imbalance, balance, imbalance. Alright, so come back across now. And for an individual, a balanced individual, we are looking for a picture of a man or a person who is sitting on the ground. And there's one up in the corner here. It's a bit damaged, but you can see sitting on the ground, legs apart, arms outstretched to the side. Right? Very low center of gravity, very balanced position. Okay, so in terms of the imbalances, okay, we covered that 2 short rectangles at a 45-degree angle, the representative of the whole concept of imbalance, and that the 3 birds together would be the imbalance at a life level. And the scale arm, no balance chains, as mentioned. This is the imbalance representation for humanity level. And for an individual imbalance, it is a 1 leg, sometimes with a line behind, other times not. And we come across here and have a little look. Just down here we will see this is a picture of a leg. It's in sort of a sitting bent position there, and there's different, obviously, artistic interpretations as you progress through the glyphs over time, because this all happened over a very large period of time, thousands of years, and exactly how old some of this is. So I'd say predates the Egyptians. I'd say they were carrying it forward from something much, much older. So I was going to take you out to Google. There's a nice little picture of just one of the legs on its own. Let's see if I can find it for you. Anyway, it's a fairly common symbol, obviously, very central part. There we go, up here in this section. You can see in this little resource here, it says, it's not letting me move there we go. Where it says leg here as a letter B. This is not right, and essentially none of this is right, or I don't think actually, well, the only one they've got close here is this circle of loops here for H, and that's in a way correct because that's a representative of the bonding of humanity, that symbol. So they're actually on track there with the H. So there's a couple of them where they're not too far away, but most of them are together. You can see we've got the C in this action, which they've called a tether, but again, and in this symbol of the circle with the lines in it, which is bonding, again, we have a H in there. So there are some loose connections to this. I'm not sure whose document this is, but anyway, moving along, because this is a new theory I've developed, new working theory in progress, and it's proving pretty reliable. So we covered the Earth. Now, we didn't show it a good picture of it in the previous video, so we'll just cover it here, and you'll find it's represented many times here. This section here, which is, if you rotate it back across 90 degrees up to the left, it's a capital letter G, but it's represented on its side here and with square lines because it's part of the energy and the matter and the entropy concept. Here it is again. You'll see it provides a shelter over the top, and it provides a support. The vertical line in the middle there is support. And there's a little doorway in. Again, I mentioned previously, it looks like the plan view from above. Take the roof off a house and look down into the four walls with a doorway entry into it. And that's the representation. So over here we have a very similar thing, which looks like a turned over C instead, but it's not. It's the G without the support bar represented. So you'll see it often set out like this, and it basically just represents the shelter-only concept. Sheltering. You see, it's a doorway and entry into a cave. It's a sheltered place. Whereas this one has the support and the shelter represented, and the main concept for Earth. Right? So it's the G laying on its side there. I'll go on now and do one more for you. We'll try and keep these quick so you can just have little bites. I know everyone's busy and it's it's tough to find time, but I think this is pretty interesting stuff. So hopefully you're getting a bit of a kick out of it as well, and seeing a new way of looking at things, and a peek into the what drives symbolism. And I believe, right across all of humanity, all over the world, I think these symbolisms, they're not far different from each other, and certainly the concepts, which are these essential core concepts that are undeniable realities for life to exist. These are all functions and features of life, and that's what these alphabets of language were trying to encapsulate. Right, so we mentioned before the circle with lines inside is the bond overall concept, and I know it's not represented in a straight line in this instance, and well, that's because what it's saying is, let's go and have a look at a picture in action in the real glyphs, and there's a few in here, I'm quite sure. Yep, there's a good one. Right, so what it's saying is okay, so a line can be bent into a circle, and a circle can be unwrapped into a straight line, right? And that's part of the idea, is that it is all the one thing, but represented slightly differently. So what's this saying is that the energy and the matter are bonded together, they're being restrained, pulled together. The line has been formed into a circle by the energy. These are the energy lines inside. keeping the whole circle bonded together, supporting it. It's just down here as well. There's another one down the bottom there. The oops, sorry. Okay, so the bond for life at this stage, I believe it is a thick horizontal line, like the rectangular thick lines for the inorganic matter. But in this case, it's got the 3 triangular posts on it. So this one, I will like to see a few more confirmations from a few more glyphs and make sure it is the right concept or the right symbol for that concept. And let's see if we can see where it is. No, that's not right. Sorry, guys. It's best one's over here. Yeah, okay. All right, so this symbol here, it's a horizontal line here, and these points of connection here are basically representing the straight line of entropy there, and these blooms of life, individual lives coming out of the energy. Okay, so that's what I believe is the representative for bond of life. And the bond of humanity, we showed that other picture there, and which is the chain of loops, or it's like a stitching, or a threaded together in these loops, right? That's really strong. So it's representing bond as the strongest connecting force. Very hard to break. So like stitching on clothing. Okay, very strong and very sturdy, lasting. And I don't have, excuse me, the symbol for an individual bond in these ones, but it's basically just a single loop. So you would still have these threads coming in to just a single loop. Okay, that covers us up to H, and in the next episode we'll go through and look at the infinites, the infinite concepts, and we'll look at the other 2 connecting principles, the joins and the connections. Not as strong as a bond, but if they recognize the different types of connections. So, and the giving concept, the concept of giving, which is represented by J, or is what we would know today as our letter J. All right, so we'll do a couple of little quick ones just to finish up with. Notice here's the owl. It means exactly the same thing then as it does today. It means knowledge or seeing, sight, and in fact, to know something, you see it. Seeing is believing, and that is what the owl represented in the glyphs, and it's essentially what the owl symbolism still is today. It's the wise old owl, right? It knows because it sees very well. That's the idea there. What do we got? Is anything else in here to look at for now? No, a lot of these are alphabetical characters. So yeah, we'll call it, and I will carry through for the next video, part 3. Look out for it. Click subscribe, give it a like, share it with your friends. Even if people aren't interested in hieroglyphs, this is a pretty this is an interesting thing developing here. I've got most of it figured out, but lots of refining to do, and any input from anyone, Jay, drop me a comment, and let's work on it together. Let's try and figure this out. This is it's an amazing language. It was so detailed. All right, guys. Once again, thanks for joining me. I'll get some stuff ready for the next episode, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.